Así que vamos a recibir entonces a Elliot Wu y a Tricia Stauder de Iowa State University. Ellos nos van a hablar sobre las pasantías y el posible trabajo dentro del campus. Elliot, Tricia, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having us.
We're excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for being here with us. As I told you, we are very honored to have you guys here, and the screen is all yours, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Tricia Stauder, and I work in the Office of Student Financial Aid at Iowa State University.
And my name is Elliot Ewell. I'm the Assistant Director for International Student Advising in the International Students and Scholars Office at Iowa State University. And I have over 9 years of experience working in international education. And we're both very excited to be speaking with you today.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. So in the Office of Student Financial Aid, I work mostly with our student employment programs on campus. So at Iowa State University, we have over 10,000 undergraduate students that are working as part-time employees on campus. So these would just be undergraduate students, not counting our graduate level and professional level students. So when you factor those in, we have even more student employees. So it is our largest employee type on campus. And our pay range really ranges depending on the type of position and what you're doing and how long you're there. Our average starting wage for current student employees at Iowa State on campus is over $11 an hour. And then off campus, that's over $12 an hour based on our student job board and those positions. If you are able to speak multiple languages or you have additional skills like web design or graphic design, those skilled positions can be even higher than that average. So if you want to work while you're a student at Iowa State University, we have a lot of options and resources to help you find those positions that you're looking for. Our student job board is specifically available to Iowa State students, and it is able to be filtered by location and type of position. So what I mean by location would be like on campus, in Ames, within 15 minutes of Ames, that kind of a thing. And then type of position would range from childcare and education positions to lab and research positions, retail, all sorts of different things. These positions are specifically vetted to make sure that they are part-time in nature and by employers who are able to work with students so that they can make sure that they're working around your class schedule. We also have a lot of emails that go around campus discussing open positions or departments that are currently hiring. And there are a lot of awesome people on your team at Iowa State University who want to help you find positions that fit your needs and your career goals. So your academic advisor, your professor, any of them may have different connections or resources to help plug you into different projects that are happening on campus and new employment opportunities. There are a lot of different types of positions that you can get involved in. Our largest on-campus employers are Iowa State Dining and Recreation Services, but there's also lab and research positions. There are students who work with our athletics department. There are also students who work on our Student Animal Learning Center farms, as well as just doing computer and design work for our different departments as well. So for us at Iowa State University, we start preparing you for your full-time employment on day one of your adventure at Iowa State. So we sprinkle career readiness competencies into all of your student employment experiences. What I mean by career readiness competencies is that we've asked employers, what are they looking for when they're hiring Iowa State graduates? And they've said they want students who are professional, they want students who know how to collaborate and do decision making. Based on that, we build those into your job description, to your evaluation opportunities and your reflections. So that way you start thinking about what you're doing as a part-time student employee and how that's going to help you reach your professional and career goals based on your full-time employment upon graduation. At Iowa State, we have a 95% placement rate for students at graduation. So 95% of our students are enrolled in a graduate program or are working in the field of their choice within 6 months of graduating. No matter what you're working on, no matter what your future career goals are, any of your student employment experiences can help you with your full-time goals. So one of the really unique things that we have at Iowa State University is there's a lot of folks who are focused on helping you think about employment and employment opportunities. So I work in the Office of Financial Aid. So we're talking about employment as a best practice to help you think about time management and money management, borrowing less to go in for school, things like that. But then there's also a career service office in every college at Iowa State. So the career service advisors are specific to your college and your major. The folks that are helping our engineering students are different from the folks who are helping our dairy science students. So they're plugged in specifically to the industry, to the employers that are looking for students in those careers and those majors. So they're able to really help you fine tune your resume, your interview skills, your practice, and your prep. Our career services office use SciHire, which is a program. It's different from our student job board. And this is SciHire is specifically used to advertise full-time and internship positions. So the student job board helps you look at part-time employment to hone those skills to start thinking about full-time employment. And then SciHire is used in addition to our career fairs to help you think about that full-time or internship experience. There's over 5,000 full-time positions that are posted annually. We offer lots of workshops, one-on-one sessions, coaching, LinkedIn labs, headshot opportunities, ways to practice your negotiation, what to do if you have more than one offer, lots of different workshops and tools for our students through our career services teams. And one of the largest things that our career services teams do is our career fairs. Iowa State has some of the largest career fairs in the country, and they bring the employers to you. So these career fairs are the employers are coming to Iowa State's campus, either virtually or in person, to help find employees to work for them full time and in internships. There are even co-ops or internship experiences that are paid while you're an undergraduate student at Iowa State. They are specific based on the industry that you're looking for. So the College of Engineering has a career fair specifically for engineering students and engineering majors. 75% of this College of Engineering students have at least one co-op or internship experience before they graduate. And College of Engineering students have a starting salary of $69,000 each year. The College of Business career fairs, they have nearly 1,500 internships annually, and their starting salary is over $52,000. So that's where you get to see them specifically work with the industry that they specialize in and really help leverage their graduates look into those future full-time employments.
Thank you, Tricia. Now that we've discussed kind of how you go about searching for jobs on campus and off campus, I'm going to discuss the immigration regulations that are related to working in the U.S. That provide the framework for international students to work while they're studying. So the majority of international students that come to the U.S. come in F1 status. They're considered F1 status because that is the type of immigration visa that the U.S. issues for them. And the work authorizations fall into two fields. One is for on-campus, and the other one is for off-campus. And then there's a couple of different subsets of off-campus work authorization that I'll touch on during the presentation. So for the part-time on-campus jobs that Tricia was talking about, immigration regulations limit the number of hours that students can work during the fall and spring semesters to 20 hours per week. This limit is there because during the fall and spring semester, students need to be enrolled full-time in classes, and undergraduates need to be taking at least 12 credits during each of the fall and spring semester. So immigration regulations are written so that students can still put their academics first. But then during breaks, such as summer break, winter break, or spring break, when students aren't required to be in classes, there's no limit to the number of hours that students can work on campus. per immigration regulations. And it would be up to kind of the position that the student is in and the policies of the university for if they can work more than 20 hours during those break periods. Some of the benefits for working on campus, it's a great way to earn extra money to help pay for school or to have additional spending money to be able to engage in the Ames community or travel within the US. It's also a fantastic way to create connections on campus. You learn more about the university, make friends, learn more information and ways to be successful at the university from the people that are already working at the university and been there. One other thing is that international students aren't eligible for a social security number unless they have an offer of employment. So once a student is offered employment, they have to complete an I-9, which is the work authorization form that all employees need to complete to show that they're eligible to work in the US. And during that process, they'll get information about how to go and apply for a social security number from the Social Security Administration. So now we're going to start moving to off-campus work authorization. The first one is called curricular practical training. And with curricular practical training, this is work authorization for those positions like internships, co-ops, part-time, full-time positions that students get while they are still in the middle of their academic program and can only be done before they graduate. With curricular practical training, or CPT for short, the position that the student is doing must be directly related to the student's major. And like I said, it can only be used while they're still in their academic term. This curricular practical training needs to be authorized by the International Student Office, and students will receive an updated I-20, which is their immigration document that shows that they are specifically authorized to work for the internship employer or co-op employer that they are planning on having their work experience with. Each university will be different on how early students need to apply for this. But at Iowa State, students need to request authorization for CPT at least 10 business days prior to the start date. And you need to remember that you must have the updated CPT I-20 that shows the work authorization before engaging in that authorization. One of the things that the US government doesn't take lightly is for students that are working without proper work authorization. So anytime that a student is going to work outside of Iowa State's campus, they must be sure to get that work authorization. For CPT, there are two types of CPT that can be authorized. One is called full-time, which is going to be working more than 20 hours per week. And the other one is part-time, and that's working 20 hours or less per week. There is a difference between these two. With the full-time CPT, there is a limit of 364 days that a student can engage in the full-time CPT work experience for an internship per educational level. If they go over this, it has an impact on other types of work authorizations. Or for the part-time work authorization, students can use that unlimited as long as it doesn't interfere with them making normal academic progress for their academic major. For CPT, there's two things that students need to do to be eligible. One is they must get a job detail letter from the employer that is going to hire them that dates who the employer is going to be, the specific start date, end date of the employment, the number of hours per week that they're going to be working, as well as the location of where the employment is going to take place, as well as students need to have completed one academic year of study in their F1 status to be able to start using CPT. So for students, that means that they need to complete one fall and one spring semester before they can begin using CPT. And the reasoning behind that from the US government is that they want students to come get engaged with their academic major and be aware of some of the basics of their academic major so that they can then go and apply that in the workplace after they've been at their university for one academic year. The next type of work authorization is called optional practical training. This work authorization is normally done following the completion of a student's academic program. And what it is it provides students with 365 days, 12 months of work authorization within their specific field of study within the US. This work authorization can be done anywhere within the United States. And they receive an employment authorization card called an EAD that shows that they are eligible to work in the US for a specific set of dates. For this work authorization card for OPT, it is issued by the US government. And so that application needs to be sent to the US government, and it can take 3 to 4 months for the US government to process. So during the semester that you're getting ready to complete your degree, you'll want to be sure to apply early. Normally that's starting in September for students that will graduate during the fall semester, or applying in February for students that will graduate in the spring semester. And for the types of employment, there are many types of employment that can be done. It can be full-time, an internship, a contract employment. It can be paid or unpaid. Students can also start their own business if they would like to be able to get that experience and have a great idea that they want to get off the ground. All employment while on OPT must be directly related to the student's major. And again, the student will still have to have completed at least one academic year of study within their status. For OPT, it can begin within the 60 days following the end of the semester that the student graduates. And students are eligible for OPT again at each additional degree level that they earn, as long as the degree level goes up. So if a student earns an undergraduate degree and use OPT, if they then go on to get a master's degree, they'd be eligible for OPT again at that new degree level. Additionally, some students that have a qualifying STEM major, they're eligible to apply for what's called the STEM OPT extension for an additional 24 months, and I'll touch on that on the next slide. So like I said, all F1 students that earn their degree are eligible for the optional practical training OPT for that 12 months of work authorization in the US. But there are some students that will be eligible for an additional 24-month extension. So they could potentially work up to 3 years on OPT following their graduation. And with this, it's going to be dependent on a couple of things. The first is going to be dependent on the student's major that they earned. The major must be considered a STEM designated major by the Department of Homeland Security. And the STEM designation majors are going to be based off of what's called a SIP code. The SIP code is the category that a major is placed into by a university. And those categories are set by the US Department of Education. The majority of the STEM fields fall under science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So your physical sciences, your computer science, all your engineering, your mathematics, as well as some others. And so depending on what your plans are for studying and potentially working in the US, you'll want to be aware early on about what the SIP code is for your planned major to know whether or not it's going to qualify for the STEM extension. Your SIP code will be found on your I-20, and there's a link on the US Department of Homeland Security's website that you can search to see of whether or not it is going to be STEM eligible. Again, for the STEM OPT application, students will need to apply to the US government for the 24-month extension, and students must apply while they're in a valid period of OPT. With STEM OPT, there is a requirement that this work authorization must be paid, and students must be working at least 20 hours per week. All employment must be directly related to the student's major. And with STEM OPT, there is something called a training plan. It's called a Form I-983. And this is put in place by the US government for an employer to fill out with the student that's going to apply for STEM OPT. And this kind of outlines the goals and educational objectives of the STEM OPT employment to show that students are still getting an educational perspective and growth while they're on STEM OPT, and not just using the work authorization to be able to work, but they're continuing their educational practical experience. And then this slide right here, this will show some of the top employers for graduates from Iowa State. Since Iowa State has so many different majors, you'll see that there's a variety of different employers that Iowa State students are being hired to. You'll see Principal, 3M, Google, Amazon. We have students working for Tesla, PricewaterhouseCoopers, if you're interested in accounting, Lockheed Martin for aerospace students, Caterpillar for engineering students. So just lots of different employers. And as Tricia was talking about, Iowa State is very fortunate to have the robust career fairs that we do, as it brings a lot of these employers to campus for students to have face-to-face contact with them, to learn more about the company and learn about potential openings and apply for jobs with them.
Elliot, Tricia, thank you very much for your time and for all the information you gave us. Now I'm going to read some questions from the audience, okay? So the dynamic is going to be the following. First, I'm going to read the question in English for you guys. Then I'm going to translate for the audience so they can know what are we talking about. And finally, you can start answering it, okay? Great, let's start with the first one. Do I need a social security number to start working in campus? ¿Necesito un número de la seguridad social para empezar a trabajar dentro del campus universitario?
Yeah, so if it's the first time that you're coming to the US to study, you won't have a social security number, and you will apply for on-campus jobs without having that social security number. Once you are offered a position on campus and start to do the employment paperwork, at that point, you will become eligible to apply for a social security number based off of being hired for a US position. And you'll receive paperwork from the university to go and apply in person for that social security number.
Awesome. Elliot lo que nos está comentando es que no necesariamente al principio para empezar a trabajar dentro del campus, sino que más bien es una consecuencia del mismo proceso. Cuando ustedes consideren aplicar a un trabajo dentro de la universidad, la propia universidad es la que los va a ayudar con ese trámite para que ustedes vayan en persona a la oficina encargada de ese proceso y lleven la documentación necesaria para que les den su número de la seguridad social, así sean estudiantes internacionales y puedan empezar a trabajar dentro del campus. The next question is, do I need good grades to find a job on campus, Tricia? Sorry, I'm going to translate. Thank you. ¿Necesito buenas calificaciones para conseguir un trabajo dentro del campus?
So yeah, that depends on what type of employment you're going to look at. Some of our different employers have GPA requirements and other departments do not. So it really depends on the individual employer. However, we want to make sure that you are successful academically as well as gaining those career readiness skills. So we have a limit for our student employees to keep their weekly hours below 20 hours a week to make sure that your focus is still on the classroom.
Awesome. Tricia lo que nos está diciendo es que eso va a depender del tipo de trabajo que ustedes quieran conseguir dentro del campus. Algunos departamentos sí van a tener un límite de GPA, es decir, del promedio, un requerimiento mínimo del promedio universitario que ustedes tengan en la universidad hasta ese momento y otros no. Sin embargo, y es lógico, cualquier trabajo que vayan a tener dentro del campus, la universidad necesita saber que ustedes son lo suficientemente competentes, por supuesto, para llevarlo a cabo. Entonces, siempre va a ser importante que tengan un buen promedio académico. Además, al final de su respuesta, lo que mencionaba es que muchas universidades limitan la cantidad de horas que ustedes pudiesen trabajar a la semana. En este caso, ella mencionó 20 horas a la semana para garantizar al mismo tiempo que el exceso de trabajo, en caso de que trabaje más de 20, no interfiera con su tiempo de estudio e incluso con el tiempo que ustedes le puedan dedicar a la disciplina deportiva que practiquen, si ese es el caso. Next question. In your opinion, how does the work-study structure could help a student to grow in every way? For example, in terms of maturity. En opinión de Tricia y de Elliot, ¿cómo puede la estructura de trabajar dentro del campus o de trabajar en general pudiese ayudar a cualquier estudiante a crecer desde todo punto de vista, por ejemplo, en términos de madurez o de independencia financiera?
Yeah. So being a student employee at Iowa State University, you're not only gaining those skills as such as showing up on time, being responsible, but you also have Iowa State staff that are working with you alongside these roles. And so they are there to kind of help coach you through your professional development and your growth. And then those career service workshops are also able to help you hone in on those skills and better be able to tell the story of how you have grown as an employee and a future applicant for full-time positions.
Great, thank you. Tricia lo que nos está comentando es que más allá de que la propia dinámica del trabajo te permita a ti pulir o materializar de mejor manera valores como ser puntual, como ser responsable, como ser disciplinado, el simple hecho de que estés trabajando rodeado de un equipo de trabajo que seguramente sea talentoso y que también tenga más experiencia que tú en ese campo laboral, inevitablemente te va a hacer crecer desde tu punto de vista y además es un crecimiento que vas a poder aprovechar a mediano y largo plazo cuando ingreses de manera formal en el mundo laboral una vez te gradúes. Van a ser herramientas y una experiencia sobre todo muy valiosa que aunque no lo hagas de forma consciente vas a poder aplicar llegado el momento. The next question is, do we need to create a portfolio for applying to a job, Elliot? Preguntan si necesitamos obligatoriamente crear un portafolio de nuestro trabajo, por ejemplo, para aplicar justamente alguno de estos trabajos.
I mean, definitely when you are looking into applying for jobs outside of Iowa State for internships and full-time positions, you will want to be sure to put together a resume. And the career services offices at Iowa State can help you put together that resume. And then depending on what your major is, for graphic design students, communication students, those students will definitely want to be able to put together a portfolio that demonstrates the work that they can do to show to potential employers. And then when applying for jobs on campus, it'll be up to the hiring person within that department on campus for whether or not they require a resume or anything like that for searching for jobs on campus.
Bien, Elliot lo que nos comenta es que evidentemente si ustedes quieren conseguir un trabajo, ya sean unas pasantías o un trabajo a tiempo completo fuera de la estructura de Iowa State o de cualquier universidad, es decir, en el mundo laboral, de manera formal, es probable que sí necesiten un portafolio, sobre todo en aquellas carreras universitarias que lo requieren prácticamente de forma obligatoria, como el diseño gráfico o incluso el área de las comunicaciones. Y si hablamos del entorno académico o universitario, eso va a depender de la posición de trabajo a la que estén aplicando y va a depender de la persona que decida si los contrata o no. Es decir, si quieren aplicar un trabajo dentro del campus, va a depender entonces de la persona que les está dando esa oportunidad, si requiere o no un portafolio, dependiendo, repito, de la carrera que ustedes estén estudiando. Si hablamos de diseño gráfico, es casi una condición sine qua non que ustedes vayan aglomerando, que vayan recopilando todo su trabajo en un portafolio para que hable por ustedes mismos del trabajo que pueden realizar. The next question, is there the same opportunities to get a job for international students than for U.S. residents, for example?
Yeah, so on campus, the same opportunities exist. Off campus, that looks a little different. And our International Students and Scholars Office, which Elliot is a part of, are able to kind of help walk you through what that looks like and make sure that you have all of the questions answered before you start that employment search.
Awesome. Le preguntaba a Trish en este caso que si existen las mismas oportunidades laborales para estudiantes internacionales que para residentes de los Estados Unidos, que seguramente es alguna duda que muchos de ustedes puedan tener. Ella me dice que dentro del campus, en la mayoría de las universidades, sí, prácticamente son las mismas oportunidades. Es cuestión de la rapidez o de la premura que ustedes se postulen para ese trabajo casi coloquialmente hablando, pudiese ser en una especie de orden de llegada, ¿no? Pero que fuera del ámbito universitario, repito, en el mundo laboral, oficialmente hablando, sí va a depender un poco de la oportunidad que puede estar disponible, y hay oficinas dentro de las universidades que los asesoran y los guían en ese sentido para que ustedes estén preparados de la mejor manera para afrontar esa búsqueda de oportunidades luego de graduarse. The next question: if I play with the soccer team, for example, can I find work and campus opportunities? Si juego con el equipo de fútbol en la universidad o de cualquier otra disciplina deportiva, de igual manera puedo tener oportunidades de trabajar dentro del campus.
Yeah, so if you are an athlete on campus, you're definitely eligible to work on campus. It might end up that it's best for you to work on campus in the season that's opposite of your sport, just based off of total time that you have available for your studies and your athletic pursuit. But yes, you are eligible to find jobs on campus.
Elliot nos comenta que formalmente sí eres elegible para tener un trabajo dentro del campus, pero volvemos al mismo tema que hemos mencionado anteriormente. Todo va a depender de cómo distribuyas tu tiempo de manera responsable. Es decir, si estás entrenando con el equipo de tu disciplina deportiva, si además tienes que dedicarle algo de tiempo a sus estudios para hacer tarea, para prepararte para cualquiera de los exámenes que puedas tener en una semana, pues por supuesto que hay que organizarse bastante bien para que entre el trabajo, los entrenamientos deportivos y el tiempo de estudio no te veas abrumado o no te veas sobrepasado por la carga de responsabilidades que se pudiesen tener. Pero sí, efectivamente la estructura del work study, la estructura de trabajar dentro del campus está diseñada para que, si se organizan de la manera correcta, ustedes puedan cumplir con estos tres elementos: su deporte, sus actividades escolares, en este caso universitarias, y también el trabajo, para que ahorren algo de dinero o para que lo gasten en lo que ustedes consideren. The next question: can a freshman student could be available to work on campus, or it depends of the college? ¿Un estudiante de primer año pudiese tener la oportunidad de trabajar dentro del campus o depende de cada universidad?
Yes, international students are eligible to work on campus from their very first semester in the U.S. And we have lots of international students that do start during their very first semester on campus. And it's recommended because it helps get students connected to the campus even quicker than if they didn't start working their first semester.
Bien, Elliot nos dice que sí, que efectivamente pudiesen empezar a trabajar desde el primer año, es decir, desde su año freshman, y que incluso él lo recomienda porque les va a permitir facilitar el proceso de adaptación. Es decir, él decía una palabra, me parece muy valiosa y muy curiosa: les va a permitir conectar de mejor manera con el campus, con el entorno, con sus compañeros, con la vida universitaria más allá de los salones de clases. Así que, sin lugar a dudas, él les recomienda que desde el primer año lo hagan y que además está la posibilidad de hacerlo. The next question is: it is necessary to choose between CPT or OPT? ¿Es necesario elegir entre CPT y el OPT?
So it's going to depend on the timing of when your employment is going to be. So if you're going to do an internship in the middle of your academic degree, then you would want to use CPT. If you have already completed your academic degree and have graduated, then at that point you would want to use OPT, since you are working after you've completed your degree.
Bien, él dice que va a depender del momento en el que decidan elegir por alguno de estos dos caminos, ¿no? Él habla del OPT, por ejemplo, que sería mucho más provechoso para ustedes que apliquen a ello o que lo utilicen una vez ya tengan su diploma académico, su diploma de su major. Eso va a depender entonces del momento en que quieran utilizar este recurso, si todavía están estudiando o si ya se graduaron. ¿De acuerdo? So,
I'm sorry, one more thing. And students are able to use both during their academic degrees. So they can use CPT while they're in the middle of their academic program for an internship, and then use OPT again once they've graduated.
Perfecto. So él me estaba diciendo que se puede usar el CPT, como escucharon, mientras están viendo su carga académica de la carrera, y luego el OPT de igual forma pueden utilizar los dos, pero después de haberse graduado. So Elliot, Tricia, thank you very much for your time. These were all the questions that the audience had for you. Thank you once again for being here with us. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. And we hope that you have enjoyed as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Gracias.